ग्रीन पार्टी ਦੀ ਅੰਤਰਿਮ ਨੇਤਾ ਅਮਿਤਾ ਕੁਟਨਰ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਪਾਰਲੀਮੈਂਟ ਹਿੱਲ ਤੇ ਪੱਤਰਕਾਰਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕੀਤੀ ਗਈ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਫੈਡਰਲ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਪੇਸ਼ ਕੀਤੇ ਬਜਟ ਤੇ ਚਰਚਾ ਕੀਤੀ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਗ੍ਰੀਨ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਦੇ ਸੰਸਦ ਮੈਂਬਰ ਐਲਿਜ਼ਾਬੈਥ ਮੇ ਅਤੇ ਮਾਈਕ ਮੌਰਿਸ ਵੀ ਸ਼ਾਮਿਲ ਹੋਏ।
Well, my overall take for this budget is that it was a fascinating juxtaposition of things that I am very happy to see and things that we are very disappointed to see. And so I'll start with some of the things that we are very happy to see and things that we have been championing for a long time. They include dental care, the promise of pharmacare legislation, lots of action on housing. I would especially say co-op housing. Very happy to see the 6,000 units promised. Also, lots of small things going through there that I found really exciting, like a program for menstrual equity that also included mention of trans and non-binary people, and also employee ownership trusts. Overall, though, I felt like for a budget that promises to be transformative, I could not call it such a thing, especially because there seems to be a focus on people having value based on their productivity instead of a focus on well-being, which is what we firmly believe is necessary for any transformative policy and budget. Just don't see real support for rail, something that I think is completely necessary going forward. There's a couple of mentions, but nothing really substantive. The other is at a time where we're seeing less and less bus service, especially to remote communities, something that is completely necessary when you look at the murdered and missing Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirit report. This is taking away services, it's an issue of equity, and also a huge deal in terms of climate policy. And that's really, I suppose I'm supposed to talk about it as Green Party leader, what we think about in terms of climate policy. This was a huge disappointment, especially after the approval of Baie du Nord yesterday, that there aren't measures to make up for this. And we see instead just really investment in the fossil fuel industry. And when we're looking for something, we're looking for measures across the board, saying every single area of policy should have something addressing climate. And this is why I'm really disappointed about public transit. Something like that is a policy that's necessary. And sure, there's a huge section on electric vehicles, but that in itself is a decision about the type of society that we're building through the climate emergency. And as we've said many times, net zero is not sufficient. We do not hit our Paris targets of 1.5 degrees with a net zero plan. And so we're just plainly not satisfied with the climate parts of this budget. Also, coming out of the pandemic, or hopefully coming out of the pandemic, I was very much hoping to see mention of food and water security. The support and the investments for Canada water strategy are just not sufficient. And same, there are mention of sustainable agriculture and also helping support our supply chain, something that we're very aware of from the pandemic,